My name is Naimi. I'm running for Detroit City Council. Poetry on the river. So I was trying to find something to read, and all day long I was preparing something. There's a song lyric that inspires somewhat of my environmental policy, and I'm going to read it to y'all. It's by John Popper. Already voted? All right.
Yes, you said it.
Beautiful. Great. All right, here's the song there. The possibility exists, no matter how scary it may seem, that paradise was once the world, and it wasn't just a dream. The earth was our heaven, and we didn't know there were rules for us to break. So maybe now we'll find out too late what a clever hell we can make. What that basically sums up is the fact that we're in control of our own destiny. The earth is our heaven right now, and we're doing things to it that could be what we call creating our own hell. So we can make a difference, and that's what I've been trying to provide Detroiters. And I created the recycling program in response to the vision that was created by that lyric. A few years ago, there was a response for a need for a recycling program in the city of Detroit. I live in the Cass Corridor neighborhood, and we placed one small dumpster on 2nd Avenue in Prentice, and invited the community to recycle because there was a lack of a recycling program. Once a month, second Saturdays on 2nd Avenue, and the community response was unbelievable. 150 families started recycling there almost immediately, once a month. We took that program, free program, down to Corktown and expanded there. And the city of Detroit approached us about developing the grassroots recycling program to grow recycling in the city. We put a program together and created a group called Recycle Here, and that began in 2007. We established a recycling facility on Holden Avenue, and we started partnering up with neighborhood groups and CDCs, and the proceeds from the mobile facilities were returned to the community in order to inspire and develop the program. Right now, as of 2009 in July, we've recycled over 2.9 million pounds of material brought to us by Detroiters. People say I get a little credit for doing that. I give all the credit to the citizens of Detroit for wanting to be greener. By creating that program, I've shown that I can work with both neighborhood groups, CDCs, nonprofits, city government, city council, GIDRA, the incinerator, to create a program in order to make Detroit a greener place. And we've seen the rollout of curbside recycling, and that gives an option. Obviously, we hear the word green a lot, and I consider myself the green candidate. There are going to be many, many, many budget efficiencies we'll be able to find in this budget. The city of Detroit has a $3.3 billion budget and a $300 million deficit. If we could find 1% in energy savings, we'll be able to balance the budget. There's a lot of different things that we can do using green technology to attract business, to attract new manufacturing. And that's what my goal is as a city council candidate, is to use my experience as a green business owner and a green candidate in order to grow green options in the city of Detroit and to look at all facets of Detroit through a green prism. Obviously, a lot has been made about council by districts. Council by districts, obviously I'm running at large right now. Detroit is the largest city in the United States via landmass, 139 square miles. I'm sure some of the other candidates have been running around from forum to forum getting speeding tickets, going from one side of town to the other. Obviously, we all need to know every street in Detroit. We're going to serve you on city council. But as far as districts go, having the responsibility in a linear fashion for a certain area, to have responsibility, to have over a certain area will provide accountability in that area. I'm a firm believer in that. Also, safety is the #1 concern. Obviously, my background is not public safety. I'm not a fireman, not a police officer. I am well versed and have a lot of experience in solid waste removal. Obviously, I talked about my recycling background. But if I can address the blight in our neighborhoods, the neighborhoods will be safer. We're not walking by vandalized homes, abandoned homes, crack dens. The neighborhoods will be a safer place. Obviously, I'm a firm believer in historic preservation. We need to really protect our architectural legacy in the city of Detroit. I live on a street called Canfield Street, a couple blocks off Woodward and the Cass Corridor. The first historic district in Michigan, the first historic district in Detroit was created to save the house I'm living in right now. It's a beautiful home. It was built in 1859, and it wouldn't be there if it wasn't for somebody taking responsibility for our neighborhoods and our legacies. I'm a firm believer in that. Obviously, I don't want to stand in the way of development, but I also want to make sure we preserve a legacy for our children to see what Detroit was like. And that's something I really believe in as well. I'm going to touch on all my points here. Obviously, we talked about urban agriculture. The city of Detroit was built on ribbon farms. We have beautiful soil here. If you look at what's been coming out of our citizens, what they've developed with groups like the Greening of Detroit, they haven't had help from the city of Detroit. They haven't had help from government as in terms of money or help or any of that thing. But what they've done is create more urban gardens are located in the city of Detroit than anywhere else in the United States. That shows one benefit to an urban garden is the fact that you meet your neighbors. I heard that earlier from a fellow candidate. And literally, in an era that we pay at the pump, we shop online, and we try to not interact with other people, having a community garden where you actually get to meet your neighbors, talk to people, that'll solve a lot of our problems, and it'll solve a lot of our differences if we can learn to talk to people. So I think that's a big help. But another facet of urban agriculture is we have areas of the city of Detroit right now that have basically 2 or 3 viable homes on a city block. You have a lot of vacant lots. You have a lot of abandoned homes on those lots. If there was a way that we could help somebody to get out of that area, move them to a new area, and we could clean those areas up and grow produce on those areas by creating something like a City of Detroit Department of Agriculture. Right now, there's no revenue being created on those areas because they're vacant lots and there's probably no taxpayer, and the City of Detroit probably owns them. But if we can create an agricultural zoning and we can use that agricultural base to create a City of Detroit Department of Agriculture, we can grade the produce and sell them in our markets, creating a circle of growth. We'll have both job creation in the sector of farming, and we'll also have job creation in the public sector of inspection of food. So we've created jobs both, and we've created food security for our neighborhoods, and hopefully we'll eat a little bit better. I think we all need to do that. I especially do. Okay. Talked about districts, talked about blight, talked about creating recycle here. I am the green candidate. Also, we got to remember the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit has what we call a strong executive system and a weak council. Obviously, we've seen a lot of strong comments coming out of council, but I don't know if those strong comments have been a benefit to anybody. Council's job is to be the conscience of the citizens and to be a watchdog, a budget watchdog, and a policy watchdog on the executive branch. But they need to be a team. So when you're filling out your you're picking your council candidates, you have to understand that we don't need 9 quarterbacks, we don't need 9 centers, we don't need 9 pitchers. We need diversity. I'm not talking diversity of color, I'm talking about diversity of experience. So we need a solid waste candidate. We need a guy with a green background, sure. We need educators, we need lawyers, we need public safety officials, and we need firemen, and we need them all to get together. So when you're filling out and voting for your candidates, make sure you're trying to pick a team to address all the issues the city of Detroit has. My website's voteforgrowth.com. My recipe for growth is to communicate, coordinate, cooperate with each other, and thank you for your time.